Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Salatu wassalamu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. So inshallah, continuing with the Tafseer of Surah Al-Baqarah, let us then commence inshallah with sharing the contents of the screen. So just to quickly recap Surah Al-Baqarah, to have this overview in our minds, so inshallah we can benefit from every ayah. So let us draw the overview of Surah Al-Baqarah. Surah Al-Baqarah, we mentioned, is Madani Surah, revealed at the beginning of the Hijrah, first 2 years of the Hijrah after the Prophet migrated from Mecca to Medina. And this is the formation of a new community, a new state, the state of Medina. And in this, Allah Ta'ala, He has established now the believers as the Ummah that will invite everybody to this message of Allah's message through the Qur'an and through the Messenger ﷺ. So for this, the community now at large, it has to now understand its ideology, if you like. So Iman is mentioned in this surah. Yes, Iman. And Islam, Ahkam, Islam, which means what to do, yeah? What to do, what not to do, do and don't. Code of conduct. Vision has been given in the middle of the surah, which is Shahada al-Nas, convey the message to the rest of humanity by being role models of this message. And to do that, you have to spend all your resources, in fact, your money, your time, your abilities, and you have to do jihad against the enemy. You have to fight against, and you have to defeat the enemy in this mission. Yeah, so that's very briefly. If you have that in mind, then inshallah, this surah becomes very easy. Okay? Because any ayah you study, it will be related to one of these 5 aspects. So we have been looking at the second juz, in which Allah Ta'ala has emphasized the changing of the Qibla. And this essentially, this is essentially telling us now that you have now the responsibility that was before you given to Bani Israel. This has been given to you now to convey the message. So now you have to convey the message on behalf of Allah and be the role models. And the changing of the Qibla is to recalibrate and bring back to the norm all affairs. Yes? Going back to what Ibrahim al-Islam stood for and believed in. So with that in mind, inshallah, you will now find in this part, the remaining part of this surah. Listen carefully so you make a note of this, and inshallah you will then benefit from this. Allah Ta'ala, He will mention aspects of Iman. Yes, aspects of Iman. We will see Allah Ta'ala tells us what is the essence of Iman. It is to love Allah the most. It will be mentioned in this section, the rest of this surah now. It will mention the Iman in Allah in Ayat al-Kursi. It will mention the Rububiyyah of Allah, the Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, in the ayat regarding Allah Ta'ala's creation. It will talk about the Uluhiyyah of Allah, the worship of Allah, by elaborating the means to worship or the modes of worship, which are the pillars: Salah, Zakah, Saum, Hajj, Umrah, etc. Yes. So Iman has been beautifully been covered. And then regarding the ahkam or Islam, we will also find the rulings regarding many social aspects, marriage, divorce, etc. And then we find because this is ummatan wasatan, balanced nation, Allah Ta'ala, He emphasizes in the surah a few times the balance between form and spirit, which we have already discussed in regards to the Qibla. And the climax of that is Ayatul Bir, Ayah 177. Yes, the balance between form and spirit. Then we will find many ayat talking about infaq, spending in the way of Allah. So it's really amazing, really, subhanAllah. You will find a section dedicated, or even just an ayah dedicated to what is the purpose of infaq, objective. Then the means in which you do infaq, the manners of infaq, and then the reward of infaq to encourage us. Similarly, jihad, the objective of jihad, the preparation for jihad, mentally, spiritually, physically, and the reward of jihad. So you see this as a very beautiful, what we call a marbut, a very well-connected surah, subhanAllah, just as is every surah. And with this simple 5 terms, this framework of 5 terms, inshallah, you can understand Surah Al-Baqarah, which is the largest surah of the Qur'an. Alhamdulillah. So with that introduction, and I hope you, inshallah, you know this, yeah? You should know this. What I'm covering, I cover it quite frequently. You should know this. You should be able to explain this to somebody, inshallah. Surah Al-Baqarah. And in the booklet, you will find what I have just mentioned is further broken down for you, yeah? Iman, Islam, vision, infaq, jihad. So, inshallah, that makes it even easier for you and me. So let's go to the tafsir then, inshallah. We stopped at ayah 152. So just some introduction to this tafsir of this section. Let's try to bring up another mushaf. You can see that on the screen. So if we look at the bottom of the page 23 there, we will start there with the sabr. Yes, sabr will be mentioned. The fact that you will be tested will be mentioned. And then, so this is regarding the fact that you have a purpose and objective to convey the message. You have to strive for that. So you need patience, steadfastness, determination. So this is preparing the believers. And how to remain steadfast is being mentioned here. And the fact that you will definitely be tested. So be prepared for it. And the reward of people who remain patient. And then we will switch, the subject will switch to Umrah and Hajj, which is one of the pillars, as I mentioned, Islam, yeah? And then it will move to Iman, the people of disbelief. So you see this keeps on switching, yeah? The ayat keeps switching, but the subject matter is one of the 5 subject matters. Inshallah. So let's start to recite the ayat. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ista'inu bis-sabri was-salat. Inna Allaha ma'as-sabirin. ولا تقولوا لمن يقتل في سبيل الله أموات بل أحياء ولكن لا تشعرون ولنبلونكم بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون أولئك عليهم صلوات من ربهم ورحمة وأولئك هم المهتدون إن الصفا والمروة من شعائر الله فمن حج البيت أو ائتمر فلا جناح عليه أن يطوف بهما ومن تطوع خيرا فإن الله شاكر عليم إن الذين يكتمون ما أنزلنا من البينات والهدى من بعد ما بيناه للناس في الكتاب أولئك يلعنهم الله ويلعنهم اللاعنون إلا الذين تابوا وأصلحوا وبينوا فأولئك أتوب عليهم وأنا التواب الرحيم إن الذين كفروا وماتوا وهم كفار أولئك عليهم لعنة الله والملائكة والناس أجمعين خالدين فيها لا يخفف عنهم العذاب ولا هم ينظرون وإلهكم إله واحد لا إله إلا هو الرحمن الرحيم. So, just to link this with the previous section, Allah Ta'ala reminded us about His favor of the Qibla, and the favor of sending the Prophet ﷺ. And the favor is that He will recite the ayat of Allah to you to remind you and guide you. He will teach you what is good and what is bad so that you are well aware of what's best for you. And He will practically demonstrate hikmah, the sunnah, for you to then easily follow in the right path. And this is the means of your tazkiyah, yes, your purification and your growth and prosperity. So Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the previous ayah 152, so therefore remember me, meaning keep in mind and in your heart, keep my remembrance, which means follow my guidance, follow this messenger in everything, and be grateful for what I have done for you. And you are going to be grateful by being role models of this message, and you will therefore guide others. So now, in order to achieve this monument and this mammoth task of guiding humanity, Allah Ta'ala is telling us the key. Key to success. Key to success in anything is sabr. If you want to succeed in anything, you want to achieve anything, you have to have sabr. Sabr is a very powerful characteristic. So the ayah, let's read the ayah and the translation, and then we do the tafseer, inshallah. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O you who believe, ista'inu. Ista'inu means seek Allah's help by intending to ask Allah. So ask Allah for Allah's help, seek the guidance, and then intend to follow that guidance. Ista'inu. Ista'inu, what does it mean? And so you should write it down. Ista'inu, intend to, so ask Allah Ta'ala for the help, to be shown the guidance, and intend to follow the guidance to the best of your ability. So what will help you? Sabr, bis sabr. We will elaborate on this. Bis sabr, patience. Number one is sabr. Number two was salat and prayer. Inna Allah ma'as sabirin. Indeed, Allah, He is with the people who have sabr, who are the people of sabr. So sabr, what does this mean? Sabr means linguistically to hold yourself, to control yourself, to be able to stop yourself. Yes, self-regulation, self-control. Yes, linguistically this is sabr. Sabr can mean many things in the Quran. I'll just list a few of them. It can mean endurance. To arrest or tie something or yourself. You tie yourself down. Basically, you control yourself. It can refer to bravery, courage. Bravery, courage, firm determination, resolve, strong resolve. It can refer to waiting for the appropriate time. To wait for the appropriate time. To avoid being hasty. It can refer to consistency, being consistent. It can mean to tolerate and face hardship. It can refer to self-composure, forbearance, clemency, intelligence. So many different aspects of sabr which have been used in the Quran. So for you to have a very good overall understanding of the word sabr. Sabr is therefore essentially sabr is strength, isn't it? It's being strong, brave, steadfast, upright, not giving in, being resolute, being robust. Sabr. Sabr is divided into 3 subcategories. Yes, sabr. Sabr. Categorized into 3 categories. Number 1, sabr ala ta'a. Ala ta'a. Which means being steadfast in the obedience of Allah, controlling your own desires and your wants and wills and wishes, and to control yourself and then make yourself obedient to Allah. Sabr. Number 2, sabr anil ma'siyah. Sabr anil ma'siyah. To remain steadfast on not disobeying Allah. Okay? Be resolute that I will not disobey Allah. So that's another aspect, isn't it? The first aspect is do what Allah wants. Pray. Give zakat. Yes? And the second is don't do what is haram. Keep away from haram. And the third is sabr alal bala. Alal bala. Whenever there is a calamity, a misfortune, a disaster, a difficult time, a challenging time, you remain steadfast, you don't lose composure, you don't become hasty, you think, you don't just react. Yeah, self-composure in difficult, challenging times. So you see this, subhanAllah, this surah, right in the beginning of the Quran, is teaching the ummah Yes, this is what you need in order to be successful. If you have sabr, then you will be able to achieve everything, individually and as a community. Yes, individually and as a community. I mentioned it before, let me repeat it. Many times we want to change the world. Yeah, suddenly we have this instinct, or we sometimes get excited, which is not a bad thing. And we become very, very zealous. We say, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that. And I'm going to change the world. Yeah, that's good. We should have that vision. But what we overlook many times is we don't actually know what to do and where to start. Yes? So where do you start and what to do? You start with yourself. You make sure you are solid. Yes, you are solid yourself. If you are yourself solid in these three aspects, then you will make a real difference. Yes? Otherwise, what you might think is making a difference will actually cause more problems. So this is where we start, and this is the surah is telling us where to start. Sabr. Now, how to attain sabr in this surah has been mentioned. You attain sabr by fasting, number one. Yeah? You will attain sabr through salah. You will attain sabr through giving zakat. You will attain sabr by giving what you love, which is infaq. You will attain sabr by standing up to the enemy. You will attain sabr by doing hajj, etc., etc. All of these pillars, they will, what's the word I'm looking for? They will teach us sabr, and they will make us sabir, strong, resolute. Yes? And then when you are resolute, you are disciplined. Discipline, we lack discipline, unfortunately. When we are disciplined, then nothing can touch you, nothing can beat you. Just take the example of a very disciplined athlete that wakes up in the morning, has a fixed routine, will do his or her exercise, will stick to a regime of exercise which is the optimum amount of exercise, and then will have a very nourishing diet and rest, and every aspect would be calculated meticulously, and then the athlete becomes a world record holder. Yeah? Okay? World record holder. Without this discipline, you can achieve nothing. You can talk about things, fluffy, nice clouds, yeah, cuckoo land, but without discipline, you can achieve nothing. And if you cannot discipline yourself, then you have failed. Yeah, in the first step, you have failed. So Allah Ta'ala is saying you need to have sabr. And the Prophet ﷺ has been told many times in the Qur'an, wasbir, 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 wasbir. Wasbir, like ulul azm min ar-rusul, just like the previous messengers. All the messengers and their stories are stories of sabr. Yeah, steadfastness, resoluteness. Yes, bravery, courage, not being hasty. Nuh alayhi salam, 950 years he called his people. He was not hasty. And sometimes we get overzealous, we say, oh, nothing's happening. Why is anything changing? Yes, because we don't have sabr. You do your best and then you leave the rest to Allah. He has a time for everything. And his time frame is not like our time frame, 10, 20 years. His time frame is bigger than that. So I hope, inshallah, this is clear, sabr. So Allah Ta'ala is saying to the believers, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O you who believe, ista'inu bis sabr. Sabr, when you have to understand like this, yeah? When you train yourself slowly but surely to be resolute, disciplined, you will start to see that you become more strong, you become stronger, more resolute. This will help you in your mission. See that? Okay. And then as-salat, remain connected to Allah. When you remain connected to Allah, you will always remember that you are on a mission and you are doing a task which is greater and above you. This is not about you, this is about Allah. And therefore you will realize you will only succeed. You can only succeed in this if you follow Allah's guidance. There is no other outcome. As is mentioned, can you close the window, please? As is mentioned, I can't remember, in Surah Al-Anfal, I think. There is only one. Both outcomes are good for us. I can't remember the ayah now. Which means that when they were going to jihad or qital, and the munafiqeen are saying, "Why do you need to go out to fight? Stay at home." They say that in our affair, there is only good. Yeah, it's a win-win situation. If we are killed, we are shaheed, and if we are victorious, then even you will say we are victorious. Yeah. So there is only win-win in this. And as-salat is a great means of help. And the Prophet ﷺ, it is reported in the Sahih Hadith that the Prophet ﷺ, whenever he was faced by difficulty or an obstruction, he would rush towards Salah. He would flee, seek refuge in Salah. And he would say to Bilal, "Let us pray." Yeah. So whenever we have any difficulty, if you have any difficulty, any small difficulty, pray 2 rakah. Have any problem? Pray 2 rakah. It is the best. It is the best thing. So many benefits. Unlimited benefits. So Allah Ta'ala is telling us this is how you will seek help and protection in what is about to face you. This is preparing, yeah? This is guidance. This is guidance. Guidance is not just telling you the road map, it is actually preparing you for the journey and its challenges and equipping you with the tool to succeed and guaranteeing you success. SubhanAllah. Why? How do we know that? Inna Allaha ma'as sabirin. Allah, He is with the people who exhibit sabr. Sabr in that they are steadfast in obeying Allah. They are steadfast in keeping away from His disobedience. They are steadfast in all types of difficult circumstances. Allah Ta'ala is saying He's with them. And if Allah is with somebody, then that person can never lose, yeah? That person is bound to win because Allah is with him or her or them. Allah is with them. And Allah Ta'ala mentioned about sabr, many things to say about sabr, but we won't go into too much detail. Sabr is the peak of the matter. Sabr is the peak of the matter. And sabr, Allah mentions in the Qur'an, إِنَّمَا يُوَفَّى الصَّابِرُونَ أَجْرَهُمْ بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ. The people who remain steadfast in this dunya, in the worship of Allah, Allah, He would reward them without hisab, without account. One tafsir of this means you will not be accounted for your deeds, you will go straight to Jannah. The other is you will get the reward which is so enormous and so humongous and so infinite that you cannot actually take account of it. So sabr is the key, really. And then Allah Ta'ala mentions and prepares the believers that in this journey that you are going to now embark on as an ummah from Medina until the last day, until the last hour, you will have to face difficulties to the extent that you will lose not only your wealth, your property, your health, your riches, but you will even lose your lives. So be ready and don't worry, because Allah Ta'ala is saying, وَلَا تَقُولُوا لِمَنْ يُقْتَلُ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَمْوَاتٍ. Allah is giving this honor to the people who die in the cause of Allah, for the sake of Allah. And the cause is لِكَلِمَةِ اللَّهِ هِيَ الْعُلْيَةِ. لِكَلِمَةِ اللَّهِ هِيَ الْعُلْيَةِ. لِكَلِمَةِ اللَّهِ هِيَ الْعُلْيَةِ. In the Qur'an it is mentioned, and in the Hadith it is mentioned, this what I mentioned. And the Prophet ﷺ said, the person, he was asked, who dies, who is shaheed, who is the real shaheed? The one who dies in order to make Allah's word the highest. This is the shaheed. Allah Ta'ala is saying, for those people who are killed in the path of Allah, don't say they are amwat, they are dead. Yes, bal ahya. Now, indeed, they have a life, walakin la tash'un, but you cannot perceive that life that Allah has given to them, and this is the life in the barzakh. Barzakh is the intermediary stage or the transitory stage of a human's existence after the death in this life, the worldly death, the earthly death, and the period between that and then the resurrection in the hereafter. This is barzakh, intermediary, transitory period. There are many things to say about the shuhada, just briefly some of them, and in the rest you can read in the Tafseer, inshallah, that Allah Ta'ala, He will give them, He will save their bodies from being, their bodies from disintegrating in the soil. This is one aspect of life Allah gives them that we can, it is physical, but of course the real life is the spiritual life, in which Allah Ta'ala, He will give them the blessings. And the other hadith that comes to mind, that the souls of the shuhada, they are in the green birds that are free to roam around and fly in Jannah. So Allah Ta'ala is saying they have a life that you cannot imagine. Don't think that this life where they have died, this is the end now. This is the beginning. This is the beginning of their real life. They are much happier than anybody can imagine to be. And the shaheed would wish to come back to earth 100 times and to become shaheed again. And the Prophet ﷺ said that the true believer wishes to be shaheed. Yes. And even to the extent, if a person doesn't achieve shahada in this life, like for example, Khalid ibn Walid radiallahu anhu, he wasn't shaheed in the battlefield. But the person who willed and wanted and longed for it, but didn't achieve it, inshallah, that person would also be given the status. Yes. So to wish and to be ambitious to give your life for the sake of Allah, Allah Ta'ala is saying they have a very high status. Yes, high status in the eyes of Allah. And the highest status of being shaheed is that of the messengers and prophets. Yes. And this relates to shahada al-nas. And then Allah is preparing us in the next ayah 155. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ. We will definitely test and put you under trials. We'll definitely. لَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ is a mubalagha with great emphasis that you will definitely be tested. You are created to be tested, essentially. Allah will test your elasticity, if you like. Because Allah Ta'ala, He knows your elasticity. He knows your limits. He will test you to that nth degree. And you will not be tested to the degree where you snap. You will be tested to the degree where Allah knows. because He knows He made you. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ. Bishay can mean He will test you in small things even. Yes? Or it can mean in everything. In terms of khawf, there will be times where you fear your safety. Yes? Like Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, it mentions in the Quran about him in Surah Tawbah that when he was in the cave of Thawr with the Prophet ﷺ, he feared for the life of the Prophet ﷺ. But Allah Ta'ala, He told him, La tahzan inna Allah ma'ana. Allah Ta'ala told the Prophet ﷺ to tell him, La tahzan. Don't have any grief. Don't worry. Allah is with us. But you will be tested with khawf. The time when near the end of the Madani period, when it was before Tabuk, where it was very imminent that the Romans could attack any time. There was a state of emergency. This is khawf. Khawf will come in the battlefield. Khawf will come in the time of Khandaq or Ahzab. You'll be tested with khawf, yeah? Fear. Walju, and hunger. You will have to go through the hunger in the valley of Abi Talib for 3 years. Preparing them, yeah? Preparing. وَنَقْسٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ, and you will lose your most valuable assets. What was the most valuable asset of the Arabs? No, the most valuable asset. Camels, especially the red camel. Yeah? Camel. You will lose those things that are the most valuable to you, assets. And your wealth. And your business. وَالْأَنفُسِ, and yourselves. وَالثَّمَرَاتِ, and the fruits of your labor. The fruits of your agricultural labor, crops. So, before the Battle of Tabuk, the date crop was ripe for picking, but Allah Ta'ala tested the believers by telling them all, by commanding them all. Every believer for Tabuk was ordered to leave for Tabuk. And the date crop would now be ruined and wasted because nobody would pick it. And so their economic lifeline would be lost now. But Allah Ta'ala, but because they knew the Qur'an, they said, oh yes, this is what Allah promised. And what Allah and His Messenger promised, this is the truth. So this is preparing the believer that you will be tested in all these aspects of life. But bishay'in also means, bishay'in means the test will be small and temporary. Yeah? Bishay'in, it will be small and temporary. So you know that this is small and temporary, and you know the test is liyamid al-khabith min al-tayyib. This is to purify the believers as a body from those munafiqeen. And وَلِيُمَحِّصَ اللَّهُ مَا فِي صُدُورِكُمْ. And it is to purge what is in your hearts, to make them pure. So Allah Ta'ala is saying, in all these difficulties and tests, وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. If you remain steadfast, then you should be you should receive the glad tidings, the good news, congratulations. Yes, if you remain steadfast in these, you don't give in. الَّذِينَ, who are these sabirin? The people of steadfastness. الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ. When any hardship or misfortune, disaster strikes them, what do they say? You know, when you trip, you know, people, you're walking and you trip, what you should say? Yeah? Good.
Sorry.
You should say what the ayah says. which we are going to read now. Yeah. Any misfortune happens, any small thing, even smallest thing. Prophet ﷺ said to Aisha radiallahu anha. Yes, I can't remember there was an incident. The smallest thing, say inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Say we are from Allah, meaning Allah, He is our creator and our owner, and we are His property. And we have been sent to this world by Allah to be tested, and now He is testing us to give us the reward. Yes, wa inna ilayhi raji'un, we will turn back to Him, we'll go back to Him, we'll return to Him, and He will give us the reward of being patient. So people who, when they yes, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Sorry? You stopped. Just a minute. Let me just stop the screen sharing again. Is it working now? Just 1 minute, please. Let's try again. Working now, yeah? So, any disaster happens, you remember this life is temporary for testing, and you will get full reward for every test. Even if you are pricked by a thorn, you would be compensated by Allah. Yes? There is no failure if you believe in this. And there's the hadith that mentions, you see, this is our worldview, this is how we understand. And if you understand this one hadith really explains everything regarding all these questions you get. If there's a God, why does He allow this and this evil, and etc., etc. One hadith is the answer to everything. Yeah? Listen to this, inshallah. In which a person would be brought in the hereafter who had the best life in this life that you can imagine. Yes? But he was disbeliever. This disbeliever would be dipped into the Jahannam for a fraction of a second. And then he would be asked, did you enjoy anything in your life on earth? He would say no. He would say, I enjoyed nothing in the dunya. And the opposite, a true believer who lived the most miserable life and difficult life you can imagine, would be brought in the hereafter, and he is a believer or she is a believer, would be dipped into the Jannah paradise for a fraction of a second, and would be asked, did you suffer anything in the dunya? And the believer would say, no, nothing. You see? So when the people, the atheist, humanist people, may Allah guide them all, confused, and they are being misled by shaitan, when they ask you about this is the answer. This is the answer. The answer is, this life is a very, very short, temporary test, and the real life is the hereafter. So stop crying about, oh, why am I suffering in this life? Yeah, grow up. Okay, grow up. Don't make an issue out of a non-issue. You have lost the issue. You have lost the plot. The real issue is thereafter. Wake up to it. So this ayah really is a very profound ayah. It gives the whole message really of belief that everything is Allah's, everything returns to Allah. And as one of the companions, and my husband and wife, they lost a child the story given in the hadith. And the husband comes and asks the wife, how is the child? And by that time, the child had passed away. Yes? So the mother says to the child, to the husband, she says the child is resting because the child has died. And then she asks, have you heard this before? So you should hear this, very important. So the wife, she educates the husband nicely and builds his iman by saying that if, what is your opinion about somebody who gives you something as a loan, but then you return it to him? He says, yeah, of course, that's right. So she says that, look, Allah Ta'ala, He gave this to us, and now He has taken it back. That's it. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Finished. But this is the life, this is the life of the believer. The life of the believer is based on this. You know, when you don't have this understanding, people, they suffer for all their life when they lose somebody that is close to them. All their life they suffer. I know people, Muslim. Mother passed away, or father, or brother, or sister passed away. They can't get over it after 20, 30 years. You see this difficulty? Because we did not build ourselves through Qur'an. We did not prepare ourselves through Qur'an. We don't want to talk about death. Oh, don't talk about death. Oh, no. So foolish of us. Yeah? So we shouldn't talk about university or college or school or anything. Why you talk about university? Your child may or may not go to university, may die before that. But you talk about university from the day they're born as if this is the absolute reality. The person will go to university. But we neglect the absolute reality of death. Yeah? Ya'tiyakal yaqeen. The thing which you cannot avoid, we don't want to talk about that. No, you talk about death, you remember death. Yes? You remember death at least 5 times a day when you say Malik Yawmiddin. So Allah Ta'ala, He's preparing the believers, making them strong to realize this dunya is their means to the hereafter. Know the place of the dunya, it is important, but don't become too attached to it. These people who remain steadfast in Allah's obedience and in carrying out their mission, أُولَٰئِكَ عَلَيْهِمْ صَلَوَاتٌ مِّن رَبِّهِمْ وَرَحْمَةٌ. These people, Allah, He will bless. He will send His blessings upon them and His mercy. Yes, the rewards and the blessings and the mercy of Allah towards these people, because they are doing this for Allah, Allah, He is now taking care of them. And He will take care of them in the dunya and in the hereafter. وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُهْتَدُونَ. And it is these people who are really actually guided, because they are following the guidance. إِذِنَ الصِّرَاطِ الْمُسْتَقِيمِ. So guidance here means, we need to understand that we have to follow the lifestyle of this surah to be guided. We should live with the vision of this surah. This is guidance. This is the visionary guidance. Then there is practical guidance. Live according to Islam, the pillars. Live according to infaq. Live according to jihad. Live a life of this surah. This is true guidance. And then Allah Ta'ala, He is now telling us, so we move on from this to Safa and Marwa, which are 2 places, 2 hills, if you like, in Mecca, which are min sha'airillah. These are the symbols of Allah, meaning these are the places where Allah Ta'ala, He has designated certain acts of worship, as Ibrahim alayhi salam's wife Sarah, she did when she came to Mecca. As you know, when Ismail alayhi salam was a baby, then she looked for water and then she went between the mountains Safa and Marwa 7 times. Yes, to show us what? Struggle. Yeah? What did Ibrahim alayhi salam leave his children there for? Yes, to obey Allah, because Allah said, because there was a vision. The vision was, Yatlu alayhi ba'tha fil ummiyina. Send to these people your messenger who will recite the Qur'an, who will purify them, educate them in the Qur'an and the Hadith. There was a vision. Ibrahim had a vision then for these people in the most unlikely place, in a desert, barren desert, nothing there. Look at it now. Yeah, unfortunately not at the moment because of the COVID virus, but yani, it is probably the most busy place on earth, especially Makkah and Medina. Globally, people go from every country that has a Muslim, they would have a passenger going to Makkah or Medina. That was the vision of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. Guidance. So don't think that today, or if something is not happening today, it won't happen in 100 or 1,000 years. Work for that. Plan that far ahead. Don't underestimate. So Allah Ta'ala here is saying that because this is related to the whole aspect of Kaaba and the Qibla, as well as Ibrahim alayhi salam, as well as the mushrikeen who had innovated and adulterated. They had changed the Sharia and they had made up their own rituals of worship, yes, around the Kaaba and at Safa and at Marwa. And there was some aspect of idol worship involved here. Allah Ta'ala is saying, Inna Safa wal Marwa min sha'airillah. Safa and Marwa, they are both from the symbols of Allah. Allah, He sanctions them. Yes, because there was some confusion that, because the mushrikeen, they use this or these two hills, therefore we shouldn't. Yeah. So Allah Ta'ala is telling them no. So He's telling them the Sharia, this is correct. فَمَنْ حَجَّ الْبَيْتَ وَالتَّمَرَ. So whoever intends to go for the Hajj or the Umrah, فَلَا جُنَاحَ عَلَيْهِ أَنْ يَنْطَوَّفَ بِهِمَا. Then there is no blame upon them for walking between them, doing the tawaf, which we do 7 circuits, yeah, in between them when we do the sa'i in Umrah. So Allah Ta'ala is clarifying that no, this is from Allah. وَمَنْ تَطَوَّعَ. But whoever wants to do more good deeds of obedience, tatawwa, more deeds of obedience. It is from ita'a, yeah, tatawwa. You will find this word will come again when it talks about fasting. Khaira, that's good. You can do more. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ شَاكِرٌ عَلِيمٌ. Allah Ta'ala, He is very appreciative. Shakir here means, it doesn't mean that Allah thanks you. No, Allah appreciates, yes, your good deeds. And He knows your intention in what you are doing and you are following His guidance. What time is it? 56. So we'll stop there, inshallah. Ayah number 158. So to summarize, we have looked at the preparation of the believers to remain steadfast, yes, and to get ready for the tests that will come inevitably, and to be resolute, be steadfast, and remember this life is a test, the real life is the hereafter. And then Allah Ta'ala starts to give us guidance on His Sharia. So we will end with that, inshallah.